My name is Ken Slezarek, and I'm a teacher and children's poet from Phoenix, Arizona. I personally find it immensely rewarding to work with those pockets of kids that are underrepresented or just don't have the typical access to poetry. And special education students from the most severe and profound with all kinds of issues to mild learning disabilities. And I also have an after-school poetry club. We call it Poetry Rocks. Growth shouldn't always be measured by how far you get. It's how far you've come that is important. In other words, the typical kid that I work with is perhaps in the bottom 25% academically. I mean, struggling across the board, maybe behavior issues that go with that. I want to show you the process that I use to take at-risk students, those students in some cases with unbelievable circumstances, suffering, like truly homeless. And I'm going to show you the process I do to create an open, accepting environment to get a kid whose poetry is not on their top 10 list, to get them to take a chance. Harvard professor Amy Cudahy. She has a great book called Presence, and in it she talks about the virtues of open, expansive body language. So I think that's very important with kids, especially a kid who really could care less about poetry. And I use a term in my programs called starfish up, and it conveys that open, expansive body language, but it also conveys that I think you, my dear sweet child, are a star, even if you don't know it yet. And I'm going to ask you just to play along, become a kid again, become a method actor, if you will. So just follow along and just pretend you're a kid. I need you to help me warm up my voice. And to do that, we're going to say the letter E, or the vowel sound E, on one breath. In other words, I'm going to count to 3. We're going to take one breath, and we're going to go E, and it's okay to be a little loud. So ready? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Deep breath. E. I think you definitely won. You definitely won. Now, what have we just accomplished here? So we have just taken a child, in my case, maybe a child with unbelievable sufferings, maybe was just dealt a bad hand. We've just taken that child and we've gotten them to smile for perhaps a minute or more. When you're going E, and it's beautiful to see with a group of hundreds of kids, they're all biggest smile as can be, and that's sending happy signals to their brain. It's laying the foundation to get them to take a chance on enjoying poetry, sharing poetry, and eventually writing poetry. In my Heroes and Poets Assembly program, I talk about the virtues of a hero as being strong, brave, and kind. So go ahead, whatever it means to you, go ahead and take a strong breath with me on the count of 3. Whatever that means to you. It's 1, 2, 3. Very nice. Now go ahead and sit like you're brave. Whatever that means to you, just sit like you're brave a moment. And it's beautiful, again, nice. See everyone sits up. It's beautiful, again, to watch children do this. They'll not only become brave, some of them fierce. So you can be strong and you can be brave, but if you're not kind and you don't have the greater good in mind, then you're not a hero. Stories is another excellent way to build that bond and get that kid ready to take a chance on writing poetry. Stories. They take a little baby elephant, a little cute little baby elephant. They drive a big stake in the ground. They put a steel chain around its neck. And that elephant, he'll run this way and that way. He'll pull and he'll tug. After a day, a week, a month, maybe 6 months, that elephant decides, this is who I am. I don't have much value. I'm just a circus elephant. This is as good as it gets. Now, that big elephant grows to be, that tiny elephant, grows to be strong and big, a huge, powerful elephant. They take a piece of yarn, they put it around his neck, and they drape it around a fence post. And that elephant remains docile. Never knowing that if he chose to, that big, strong, powerful elephant, he could tear the tent down. He could wreak havoc. He is big and strong if he wanted to. And if that elephant wanted to, he could write a couplet. I found this very interesting when I read this. Walt Disney would have his animators, he would take masking tape and put a square box. And outside of the box, it was okay to, have your own life issues, stresses, whatever, just, it's okay. But you get in that box, and Walt expected answers to his creative problems. His animators had to step up when they got in that box. They literally changed, and obviously they came through. I do a modified versions of that when I work with kids. And same idea. When you're outside of the box, okay, you may not know what you're going to eat later. You may have a lot of stresses, but you get in that box and you become something different. And we play with it. And of course, on some level, they know, well, that can't be true. But with kids, if you encourage that sense of playfulness, they get in that box and they become a Shel Silverstein. They become a Ken Nesbitt. And good things happen. I think it's important when you're working with at-risk kids to disproportionately praise. So we do that a lot. Disproportionate. In other words, they write a little bit for you and you give over-the-top praise to keep them coming forward. And so we do what's called a power clap, which is simply you count to 3 and then you do 1 clap. And it's a simple, effective way for a group or class to acknowledge one another. So on the count of 3, give yourself a power clap. 1, 2, 3, boom. And finally here, I'd like to talk about just how I might use this in my own life. So I can tell you I'm like average in every single way. There's nothing spectacular about me. Matter of fact, I'm a horrible speller, low average speller for sure. And, every once in a while, lightning strikes, or I'll go to write a poem and I'll do a variation of this. I'll do things like this, just, you can do smiling in the mirror, what I try to get the kids to do. And I do that, and every once in a while, lightning will strike, and I'll write something, truly good, metrically sound, creative, and everything is working. Now, does it happen all the time? Absolutely not. However, I guarantee you 100% of the time, I do much, much better than if I were sitting in front of the TV with my bag of Doritos here and my remote here and a notebook to maybe write a poem. For me, in my own life and the at-risk kids that I work with, it's about, squeezing the juice out of whatever talents and abilities are already there. So regardless of your IQ, regardless of your life situation or the bad hand that you got dealt, it's about maximizing that and squeezing the juice. Now I want you to answer this in your head. I do this to get children just to think and kind of not think of their situation. On your best day ever, this is your best day ever. You wake up, things are just firing on all cylinders. Your best day ever. Just answer this. What would you eat for breakfast? It's your best day ever. I don't know. I might have a fluffy omelet. And answer this. On that best day ever, what would you be doing? What would you do? How are you going to spend that time on your best day ever? And finally, on that best day ever, who are you going to be doing it with? So now if you have that in your head, now I want you to, if you can, go out there and create poetry with children. Those of you that are teachers, encourage that. Go out there and make a difference. As Steve Jobs would say, make a dent in the universe. Or I say, better yet, make a dent in the universe of a little child, a kid who is suffering, who's had that bad hand dealt, and just needs that help and encouragement. So on that note, thank you very much. My name is Ken Zozarek, Starfish Up.